Hi there, it's me, Jordan Van Haslo. Welcome to Jordan Van Haslo and Friends live on Hot 702.5 FM Las Vegas. Let's get on with the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of Showtime with Jordan Van Haslo and Friends right here on Hot 702.5 FM Las Vegas. I'm so excited you guys are here to join me again for another week of conversation with some of the most interesting people that I know in the world of the arts, entertainment, and the industry as a whole. Today, I'm so excited to introduce a new friend. He's a comedian. I believe he's an alum from the Upright Citizens Brigade. I can't wait to talk a little bit about that. He's an actor, he's a writer, and he's also a musician under his musical alias, Guy Riot. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jarrod Bogan. Hi, Jarrod. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I am absolutely fantastic. The sun is shining. It was raining a little bit, but the sun is shining where I am right now, and all is really good.
Nice.
So tell me, like, ever since Jose's been telling me a lot about you for a while now, and so I'm really excited to have you on the show. And I've been jamming to Guy Riot over the course of this week. I love both. So you put out a song earlier this year, and then your previous song, Whatever, which I've actually had on rotation over and over again. It's just really awesome. I really love the whole sound. How did you talk to me about that? Is music relatively new for you?
I've always been like a singer, and then I have I've been fortunate enough to know a lot of musicians and that type recently. So it's I've been able to kind of make my dream of like having music and songs into reality. Because while I can sing, I'm not the best at like producing my own stuff, you know. So it's kind of good to have my producer Murat, who's a composer, he and I have similar tastes in music and general like things that we like. So it's been good to collaborate and kind of get that going, which has been a journey for sure.
Totally. Where does Guy Riot come from?
Well, I didn't want to use my name.
Why?
Well, my last name is Bogan, which if any Australians are listening, in Australia it means like white trash in Australia. Like actually, like it's a shortened version of some like Polish name, and I was like, well, I don't want people in Australia to think I'm like white trash. And maybe I am, I don't know. It'd be nice not to have that like first impression. So I was just like, oh, let me think of something that sounds that fits the vibe of the music. That it's like Guy Riot in my head is like it can be, is it an orgy? Is it just a bunch of guys getting together? Like, I don't know. That's like, it was kind of nebulous in the terms of like what it could mean. So and not any relation to Pussy Riot, but
Jose's got jokes.
Yeah.
So was it like a thing, like you one day had an idea for a song and you called Murat and said, hey, I want to do this? Or did you just wake up and say, hey, I want to write a pop song today. Yo, Murat, let's get together.
Yeah, that's more like, I was like, well, because I've been kind of like putting it off, and I wanted to finally like writing and all the other things I do rely heavily on other people kind of allowing you to make your stuff. Like the writing, you have to get someone to buy it, and you have to get someone to produce it, and blah 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 blah. It's like I need to make something that's my own, and it's like I can sing, and I've always taken singing lessons and things like that. And I woke up and was like, I need to do something and have something out there and produce it. And so I was like, Murat, do you want to do it? And he's like, yes. And so that's how we started with that.
That's pretty cool. How long have you been in LA?
I guess it's like 2012 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot longer.
You're practically a native at this point.
I know.
Think like that,
right? I know. When people talk about just moving here, they're like, oh, it's like, I've been here a few months. It's like, oh, okay.
Where did you come from? Where did you come from? Where are you from originally?
Southeast Texas, which is like it's called Beaumont, which I think they reference it in Footloose. I don't know. I'm not like the biggest like Footloose. I don't know a ton about it, but that's what people always tell me. And it's kind of like a mishmash of like Louisiana and Texas. So it's like it's a bunch of Cajun influences. I think it's like a good kind of mixture of both areas, you know.
So lots of good food.
Yes, lots of good food. Also, like weirdly enough, there are a bunch of artists that are from like Janis Joplin's from my hometown, and the Big Bopper, and a few other like older rock pop kind of people are from the area. So it's kind of a weird place. I think that would like kind
Yeah.
of have that kind of I don't know those kind of people from there, but it is. So I don't know.
So is arts and like, being that a lot of folks, musicians particularly, have come out of Beaumont, were the arts, was that like a big part of your childhood at all, or no?
No, maybe that maybe that's why. Maybe we all just like. I mean, I did sing a lot. Like my family is very into like music. I grew up listening to a bunch. My dad was very into like Elvis, and we had records, and we would listen to all this like kind of 50s music, which definitely isn't really what influenced me. They're all songs I like, and I don't know, maybe it's like another I guess alum from there. There's just his name is Austin Brown. He's in Parquet Courts, which is like a band in New York, and it's funny because it was like I remember when I knew him growing up, and it was like funny hearing that they're like quintessential New York sound. I was like, he's from like
You're
Southeast.
like, you're like poser. So the arts weren't really a part of your life, and like, so what did you want, like when you were young, when you were a kid, what were you kind of thinking? Like, were you just like, I want to get the hell out of Beaumont? Were you thinking like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go become an accountant? Like, what were you?
Well,
Where was your head at then?
I guess I got like one side of my family's it was very like yeah, finance, get a real job, kind of that kind of thing. And the other side was a little more artsy and science related. Like they'd be like, yeah, like we're painting today or we're singing today. So it's like it was a nice mesh of the two opposing forces, right brain, left brain kind of stuff, I guess.
So
um,
what you? I'm sorry, go for it.
oh, so it was, I don't know, it eventually kind of, it was always like there, like being an artist was always kind of something that was like there, but never really necessarily encouraged, I guess.
Well, did you express it in any way? Like, did you write as a kid, or did
Yeah, I
you?
did. I wrote, I drew, I sang. I was really annoying. I would just sing around the house. There's like an old video of me with, I don't really have one right now, but I guess when I was younger, I had a terrible Texas accent. I don't know, maybe it wouldn't be so terrible now, but it's literally just me running around singing like show tunes or pop songs with like the worst, absolute worst accent you've ever heard.
Were you a theater kid growing up? Like, did you do like theater and things when you were a kid
Uh,
and a teenager?
no, but I did like my mom's favorite musical is Hello Dolly and like The Sound of Music. And then my aunt's is like Funny Girl. So those are like those were like the kind of like musicals I grew up on, which is funny.
So in other words, you grew up on Barbara Streisand,
Right, yeah.
basically.
And Meet Me in St. Louis, like just like really old, like we like very classically I guess gay icon musicals.
so so at what point, so where did you go to school, and what did you study in school? Like at what, like, did, by the time you went to college, had you kind of started deciding, I want to explore, more artistic things, or were you still kind of like,
I was still in
going to the
like
next
the
thing?
whole finance thing. Like I went to Texas A&M, which is I really should have gone to UT, which is like more progressive and artistic and all that. But I studied finance. I did have like a creative studies minor, which is more about like kind of getting people around you to be more creative and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which was helpful. But after that, after college, luckily, I don't know, luckily, unluckily, there weren't any jobs in finance. So that's really when I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do what I've been wanting to do. So I moved to Austin and started working on, yeah, more music stuff, more acting. I worked for the film director, Richard Linklater, for a little bit and just kind of started doing like student films there and working on singing just random places and kind of just having fun with that, which was Austin at the time. I mean, maybe it still is. I haven't really been there in a little bit, but it was, I think, a little more when it was less expensive too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Tell me. I'm sorry. Go for it.
Oh, and then two is I feel like easier to kind of entrench yourself in like the culture at the time.
Yeah. I've only been to Austin once, but I had a really cool vibe, and everyone seemed really nice and kind of open in a way that they aren't necessarily in like Los Angeles
Yeah.
or New York. Tell me about your experience working with Linklater.
Oh, it was fun. They were in production on like, what was that a movie that he filmed over like 10 years. Oh my God.
Oh, Boyhood.
Boyhood. Yeah, that's right. They were in one of the years of production when I was there, and it was fun. I got to help the editor out, and we read a lot of scripts and were able to kind of like recommend what we thought he might do. Although he always ends up doing his own work, so like he would be like, I'm thinking about this," and then we'd be like, "Yeah, that's good, but your idea is kind of better anyway." So he would just he did his own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Austin was kind of a cool period of exploration for you. You get a chance to work on a major film. You're studying, you're working on some music and such. So at what point, like at some point, does everything kind of come together and you say like, oh, okay, this is the direction I want my career to go? Or like, where was your head at that point?
At that point, I was just like, well, like, what's the next step? Where do I go from like here? Like Austin is a smaller market, and like the people doing well there are kind of already established. Like Richard was able to he made his short film there, or like his first film, Slacker, or one of his first films. And it's very much just like going around Austin and being like, this is just catching random people and talking to them. I guess he's an anomaly, but most people become successful and then go back and then base themselves out of Austin.
Right.
Because it's just hard to get, I don't know, it's definitely very like experimental in terms of like people don't want to pay anyone for anything.
I don't think that's unique to Austin, honestly.
Yeah, I know, but you're way more likely to get paid in like LA or something like that. But so I was like, well, I could see the boundaries of the Austin market, and I was like, well, okay, I need to move to Los Angeles. So I moved. So to do that, I moved to like a friend of mine has like a ranch in the middle of nowhere in Texas.
Okay.
And it's like I need to like cut my expenses. I need to like save for like a little bit. So I saved for like a year, working at the smallest, like the only shop in this really small town. It was like a gas station / restaurant / bank / like meeting area, and I worked there for like a year and then saved up money, moved to Los Angeles.
That sounds like the premise of a sitcom.
I mean, the set was basic. I mean, not the set. The place is like basically a set. Like there's like the bank looked like an old timey like country and western like when they're robbing a bank in cartoons. That's what like it's just like, and it would be like over in one corner, and then like the center. I was at the center to do like the checkout for like the convenience store area, and then like the food areas in the back, and then you have during the morning you'd have like the Republicans watching Fox News by the TVs in like the eating area, and then you would have the Democrats sitting by like this giant fireplace, and they would just glare at each other all morning and drink the like 75-cent cups of coffee or whatever.
Wow. What was this town called? This sounds kind of amazing.
It was called Hunt. It is called Hunt. It's still there. Hunt, Texas. It's
Hunt, Texas.
yeah. It actually has like, and then in addition, it's like a big town for summer camps. So there would be that every like all the time. And then there is a rehab facility literally right there. That's like one of the big ones in Texas that's there. And so people just assume that's where I had come from because I was definitely an outlier. Like I just didn't fit in with the rest of everyone. So they'd be like, "Oh, who's your sponsor?" Like I'm not. Yeah, and so it was entertaining.
I love it. So, I imagine you got a lot of interesting stories to write about from your time in Hunt, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So you said, okay, I'm ready to move to LA. What made you decide to move to LA, say, as opposed to like New York?
I guess I've always been more a fan of sun and and I feel like New York in my head was like another level of expensive. Like anytime
Yeah.
I'd been to New York, it was just like every step you take is like you're dropping $100 on something. Although now it feels like that in LA, but at the time I really felt like LA was, and it was cheaper than was more doable than New York, you know?
Yeah. So did you have a job when you came to LA?
Yeah, I worked at like a little,
I should say, did you have a job? Like, did you have like a job and housing all set up, or was it one of those? I've got $200 in my pocket and a backpack full of dreams. LA,
yeah,
here I come.
I had a little more money than $200, but yeah, I had a good amount of money. I was like, it can last for a while without working if I budget correctly. And then I had a friend that was already out here, so I just lived with her, and then found a job when I got out here. I'm not the best. Like I worked at a restaurant, which didn't last very long. I'm not the best service worker.
No. I love it.
Yeah.
So you got out here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go for it.
Oh, and after the restaurant, I ended up working for like a vegan nutritionist for a while.
Okay.
Like celebrity vegan nutritionist, I guess, which is interesting because I
well, veganism it's an interesting way of life. One of my really good friends is a devout vegan, and it's definitely a lifestyle.
Yeah, I feel like it's all about finding ways to make things
taste like meat,
to look like meat, to like kind of like make things be like, yeah, this is meatballs. It's like, no, it's lentils. Just like finding substitutes and making things look like they're meat, I feel like is veganism in my head.
Yeah, very much so. Mm-hmm. So you're in LA now. The restaurant job doesn't work out, but now you're in the world of celebrity vegans, and you're here to do your thing. So what's the first thing that you do in terms of like, okay, taking your own career to the next level? What's the first thing you do when you land in Los Angeles?
Well, I started taking acting classes out here from this woman named Sharon Chatton, who's like I guess she's been around for a long time. She was like part of the Actors Studio and was like took from Lee Strasberg and all those people. And I was like, she sounds like a good person to take from. So that's kind of where I started. And I was there for a little bit and it was fun. She was like one of those, I don't know, there are these old, there's another teacher that she was Uta Hagen, like where she like yells and like there's YouTube videos of her and she's like screaming at people. That's basically kind of like what Sharon was. She wasn't as bad as Uta was, but like Uta Hagen, but she was like more I don't know, harsh than you would expect. But I think that's like good because some people you need to be like slapped around a little bit.
Are you one of those people? Like, did you find it discouraging or did you find it encouraging? Do you feel like it helped you grow?
At the time, it was encouraging. I think now I would probably find it discouraging.
So you're taking acting classes, you're working in celebrity vegan world. Talk to me about some of the first creative projects that you worked on while you were in LA.
Oh my gosh. This is like, let me see. I like did some short films that were just kind of like for friends and things like that. And I got into UCB. That's another thing. I took all those classes, which was that was more fun than anything. That's where I met my current writing partner.
Okay.
Was through UCB, and we like joined improv teams and did all that business, which was fun, but also like feels like you're kind of treading water. But the good thing about like UCB though is that you see people doing well from there, so it's like kind of nice to. It's a nice little bit of encouragement, I think.
I always imagine UCB sort of like Second City being almost like a fraternity a bit. Is it that way in terms of like when you meet people who graduated from UCB? It's like, hey.
Yeah, I feel like it is. Maybe I don't always reference that I went there all the time, but like it's not like Yale. I feel like Yale people always
Yeah.
but when I do like come across like that common thread, it does end up being like something they're like, oh yeah, oh my god, who'd you take from? Or like, oh, they're still there, that type of thing.
Yeah, no, totally. So you're taking all of these acting classes. So at this point, what was the intention?
To just become a better actor. Like I knew at the time I wasn't like exactly where I wanted to be, or like I knew like what things I needed to improve on, which has always been, I feel like, a strength of mine is the ability to tell when I'm like missing the mark, when you know what I mean. Like it's
Right.
like I have some improvement to make, and so
Yeah.
that was really kind of the goal at that point. I was like, I need to get past whatever is holding me back in terms of performance and um, truthfulness and on like and set or on theater stages or wherever.
Yeah. What was
Which
there like? Was there an intention of like, okay, I want to go and become a movie star, or like, oh God, I can't wait, I want to get a broadcast sitcom, or
I
like, what was
mean,
the
I would
like
love
what?
to be a movie star, but yeah, that was more like I guess I was more in terms of like I guess the artistic side of it. I was like, okay, I need to really become a better actor before anything I want to do is becomes a possibility, you know. So I did like ended up doing theater at Theatricum Botanicum, which was like kind of more of like a Shakespeare. It's out on Topanga Canyon. It's like a Shakespeare theater, and that was a lot of fun. I learned from Ellen Gear, who was like a really they've owned that theater for a long time, and they're big Shakespeare people. So it was really fun to learn because Shakespeare teaches you how to like this. It's just a great way to act because it's all in the text and it's I don't know, tumbles and weaves, and when it's right, it's right. When it's wrong, it's wrong. So,
Which roles did you play?
I did some Midsummer Night's Dream stuff, like Puck. I did As You Like It. I was someone. I while I know Shakespeare, I am someone that doesn't have it memorized at all times, and I don't remember all the.
Tell me this, what led you to UCB?
Because I was always like kind of been told I was funny, and I was like, well, that's the place to go. Like especially then, people were really getting cast in. I mean, they still are, but being cast in shows and sitcoms and movies were definitely coming straight out of there. So it was like, looks like it's the place to go. The other one was Groundlings, but I'm not necessarily as much of like a character act like that. I don't have
Like
characters.
creating characters and things
Yeah,
like that.
not
Yeah.
really my thing.
So at UCB, because you mentioned that that's where you met your writing partner. Were you, before you got to UCB, were you really writing and exploring writing, or is that something that came as a result of your studies there?
Yeah, no, I had been writing. I guess I forgot about that to mention that earlier, but I've been writing in Texas and like kind of trying to get stories down and basically learning the real basics of the craft of screenwriting. Kind of, it was like making it flow, making it the dialogue believable and actable and all these things. Like I was a judge at the Austin Film Festival screenwriting competition, which is now like especially huge now.
Yeah.
So I was really like able
And
to
this is while you were in you. This is while you were in Texas, while you were living in
yeah, this is
Austin.
while I was in Texas. I guess I forgot.
I love it because that's kind of a big deal. Like a little bit.
Right? I know. I was like, oh, I can't believe I completely.
It's like, oh yeah, that Oscar. I forget won the Oscar one year. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And so it was kind of like, yeah, it was a good way to learn to see terrible writing, good writing, bad writing, and learn from that. And so that's when I kind of really started doing it on my own.
so did they have you like, writing coverage and such, or were you?
Yeah,
Um,
coverage, reading, judging the scripts that came in, and then all that stuff. And I did that with Richard Linklater too. We did a lot of coverage on scripts that came in
yeah.
from LA and seeing things that came across well when they flow, when people like there's definitely a flow to screenwriting. It's if it flows and the reader's gonna enjoy it more. And then if it's clunky and it's not right, then it's not easy to read. You know?
So did you have a screenplay complete when you got to Los Angeles? Like you one of those
Uh,
people sitting at Starbucks on Santa Monica, like for waiting to pounce on somebody
yeah.
with your.
No, I hated sitting at coffee shops.
Have you ever been there? Like it's almost like a WeWorks for screenwriters. I had a meeting with someone there once, and it was just so funny because they go in there every single day, and they're even kind of like territorial with the seating. Like if you kind of like
Mhm.
go to the wrong seat, they're like, dude,
Right.
like.
No, yeah, it was. I would go there. Leslie Jordan was always there. Rest in peace.
Uh-huh.
And then I would go to other shops. I just don't. I can't. Don't have the. I can sit in my bed and write, or like on the couch and write. And I'm not a desk writer. I don't like to write while I'm seated at a desk.
Okay, that makes sense.
Why? I don't know.
You everyone has their own like process, right?
Yeah.
So you were writing. So like, what kind of stuff were you writing? Like, were you writing comedy already before you went to UCB, or were you like
Uh,
what kind of stories were you creating?
yeah, comedy was always kind of meshed into everything I've ever written. One of the things I wrote was based on one of my roommates in Austin who turned out to be a complete like psychopath, basically. Like she was in every sense of the word. Like if you read like there's a book called I don't know, it's like it tells you how to like
Like
snakes.
each of the steps, like they do this, they do that, they
Yeah,
do this, they do that.
yeah. There's like one called Snakes in Suits that tells you about like psychopaths in the corporate workplace. And then there's another one called, oh my God, something psychopath, but it's more of a general, like how they exist in the normal world and how it's I think it's something like 4% of people like fall into like that kind of category. So
So you kind of won the lottery in certain aspect and landing her as a roommate.
right. Well, I won the lottery in the fact that nothing bad came of it.
What was one of the craziest things that she ever did in your presence?
Well, okay, so these are I don't know. I was paying very little rent in Austin. I was paying rent, but we lived in a very expensive building, and like it she was like, oh, like I had known people that had money and lived off of like trust funds and stuff, and she was like, well, I don't mind, like I just need roommates. And I was like, cool, I can afford this. She's like, that's fine, I don't mind covering the rest. It's like no big deal. Now I would definitely consider that a red flag,
Red flag, right?
at the time I was like, well, fine. Like my option is to go live really far away from the city center of Austin, like downtown Austin, which I didn't want to do. And so I was like, okay. But then, like as I lived there, I slowly realized like she's just like telling these like small lies, like these things that just don't add up. But it's like such a small thing that like there's no reason to confront her about it. I'm like, I know that's a lie. I know that's wrong. And I know that's not what you told me yesterday. And I know those shoes, that person didn't let you borrow them. I think you just took them. Like those. But just like and then but they would be like people that were her good friends. And then one day it turned out she got arrested for like a bad check or something, and put in jail. And then slowly like the acquaintances, all the friends started talking, and the reason we had never really like none of our stories about what she did or who she was
Like
added
meshed.
matched. They weren't the same thing. And so we all had this different idea about who she was and like what we were doing and what we meant to her, and then like what she said we did to other people, or like one time I was missing something from my apartment when a bunch of people were over, and someone else was missing something too, and then she had made it feel like she thought I had taken her things, and the girl thought it was like
You
we
guys,
both thought we were the culprit, when it was really the roommate that had done all of this. So
that's nuts.
yeah, completely nuts. And so she got arrested, and we in the span of time that she was in jail, we like went back and forth, that we cross checked our stories, and we realized that like, yeah, how terrible she was, and that we're like, because she like said I was her husband or something when the bail bondsman called, and I was like, well, I can't, I'm not. And they didn't work with her for that. They were like, and so we started calling around telling everyone not to like bail her out, because it was like but then there was one guy, we didn't have his contact info, and she did, and so he like refused to talk to me. I was like, don't, whatever happens, like when I finally did get a hold of him, like whatever happens, don't help her. And it was too late. And so I had been like I moved my stuff out of the apartment in like the span of like 2 to 3 hours.
And this is all while she's still like in jail.
Yes, all she's still in jail. And then managed to get out, and then within literally 5 minutes of me like driving away with the last like bit of stuff, she called me on my phone, and I was like, oh my god, someone let her out.
Did you answer?
I did, but I was luckily with some of the other friends, and so we just kind of like let the conversation play out and see what she would say, and she didn't even acknowledge that she was in jail.
Oh wow. She's like, hey, how you doing, honey? Want to do brunch?
Yeah, like complete crazy.
That's nuts.
It turned out she had like, one time she had planned this party for someone, and turned out she said she spent like $50,000 on this like birthday party for someone at like one of the nice places in Austin, and it turned out that she really had only spent like 20 and kept 30. So it's just like all these like kind of like, and whenever I was moving out, I was like, okay, I need to see, since all my mail, and I was like, what damage control, like what's my name on? Is my name on anything? Luckily my name wasn't on the lease. Luckily my name wasn't anywhere. But I went through like her stuff to see what in the world, what she had. And like she had like had weird mail that had gone to me that I don't know why she would keep it. She had other people's mail. She had like people's like social security numbers, like in this like,
oh my god.
Yes, like, yeah, I know, it was like
that's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane. So how did you translate that into your story? Is it a feel-good comedy? Is it
I mean, I was like, okay, so she has to be the main character, and the idea was like, well, what if there's this like, I was like, how do you make it someone like that likable? Because if they're the main, so my solution at the time, I actually do want to go back through and like rewrite this, because it's like one of the first things I wrote, so it's still like, I'm sure it's lacking in some way, but like I made there was a high schooler whose parents were con artists, and so she was like a con artist with them. So not necessarily like she was con artist by, I guess, by her
by like default, by like by upbringing, like she was it was like it's all she knew. Right,
exactly. Yeah. She's just naturally a con artist, and so that was like, and her parents got found out that now that she was 18, she was still at her high school, still there, and wasn't arrested like they were. So that's the story, is like her being her parents being outed as con artists while she still like stays in school and is a con artist herself.
Is it a dramatic piece or is it a comedy?
It's a dramedy, I would say.
Yeah.
It's hard to make something like that like not, I mean, I think the best comedies ground themselves in drama, at least for a little bit. Even now, like my writing partner and I, we really enjoy like writing over the top comedy, but
Hmm.
it doesn't land unless there's a human moment somewhere to kind of bring it all together. It's just like it really like illuminates the what the characters, what drives the character. You know, it's
Yeah.
a way that really kind of show what's their center line. There's a word for that. I'm missing it, but I don't know.
The like their compass.
Yes, yeah, that word.
So who's your writing partner, and how did you guys begin working together?
Her name's Emily Clark, and yeah, we were in an improv team that was like we were the two in our heads the two funnier people in it. Uh, they're the others are funny in their own ways, but our comedy like definitely meshed our takes on things, the way we kind of view the world, and so we were like, okay, let's like try and write something. So we sat down and started writing, which was good. One of our first things we came up with was like a play on Mary Poppins, about like instead of a Mary Poppins, it's Barry Poppins, and he's a magical nanny that's like related to Mary Poppins. That's terrible at being a male nanny, a magical nanny. Like think like Chris Pratt when people liked him, and then but he has like the umbrella and like does all the same things that Mary Poppins does, but he just does them badly, and he's just a likable goof. So
Yeah.
that's one of the first stories we wrote, which is fun, and we've recently rewritten and kind of are shopping that around, which is its own
That's good. Is it a
challenge.
feature, or is it like a pilot
It
script?
was a feature, now it is a pilot.
Okay. Well, it's kind of weird now, right? Because it's like, what's the difference anymore? Like now that
Mhm.
everything comes out day and date and it's streaming, and it's like, what constitutes a movie versus what constitutes just a 4-hour movie that's
Right,
divided
or
into 6
eight
episodes. You
hours
know what
of
I mean?
yeah, an 8 hour long movie that you just binge. Yeah, yeah. I feel like you get more space to let everything breathe than the in the TV space right now.
Oh, totally. Because you
Yeah,
can you can just keep digging deeper into the character as opposed to saying, okay, we got 45 minutes. We need to move this along.
yeah. And even I like when I like watching things, I'm way more like inclined to pick a new TV show, but I just throw on old movies all the time. I don't really put on new movies.
Right, right.
Like the things I rewatch.
What are you watching now? What new shows are you watching now?
New show Silo. I watched Silo. It's the Rebecca Ferguson thing on Apple.
Apple, uh-huh.
Yeah, which was fun. Ted Lasso was good. I need to watch the new Marvel thing that just came out with
Oh
Sam.
yeah, that's supposed to be really good. I just saw what's his name? Dermot Mulroney on The
Oh
View
yeah,
talking about that the other day.
didn't he like
That's
run
supposed
out of that?
he 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 did. It was in solidarity with the Writers Guild, but it was kind of like real talk. He seems kind of dorky. Like
Oh, he
that's all
is.
I gotta say.
Yeah.
Well, like at the end, like right when they were at the end, he goes, "So are we about to go to commercial?" And she's like, "Yeah." Joy's like, "Yeah." And he says, "Okay, well, in solidarity with the writers group, I'm gonna walk off of your show right now.
It's
Thank
like, well,
you, thank
you were
you,
done with the
thank you
interview
all."
anyway.
I was like, "Okay, well."
Like, I guess if you want to make this point, go ahead.
It was really interesting. Have you watched the other two
No,
on
I need
HBO
to.
Max?
Speaking of, he was someone that was at UCB when I was like there.
Oh, the guy who stars in it?
Yeah.
I think you dig it. If you like over the top comedy, and it's
Oh
like
yeah. I've been told
it's
I need to watch it.
and it's so because it's so over the top, because it kind of skewers the industry, but
Hmm.
it's so over the top. But as over the top it is, it's like so spot on. It's
Yeah.
it's it's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's one of my favorite shows
That's why
right
that's
now.
why I love over the top comedy, because it's just like it's a super like honest.
And like the absurdity of like things, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, this actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it actually happened in this way. Like,
Yeah.
even though it seems absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So what other things have you guys written? I was kind of researching you, and I came across, I saw you guys had some traction and won a couple of awards for I saw let's see, hold
Oh,
on.
it's called. We have this thing called this one pilot called Fearless Leader, which is like,
Yeah, that's what I was reading the synopsis of.
yeah, it's like the this would be this son of a dictator gets trapped in a nuclear bunker for 25 years and then has to adjust to life living as a normal person in the United States under the witness protection program of the CIA.
That's insane. So okay,
Yeah,
so he's not only in a new, he's talking about fish out of water. So he's not only in
right.
a new country, he also has none of the privileges that he had.
Hmm.
He's also still 25 years behind the world.
Right, completely. Yeah, 25 years. Like all his references are like all the little all the movies from like 1994 that he's been watching in this bunker for literally 25 years, and his little he's in the bunker with his mother, his the bodyguard, and a crazy doctor who lived in the bunker to begin with, and now they're just all crazy together in the United States, and it's fun. Like we're meeting we've been meeting with people about that, and then we're actually shooting a short that starts we're going to shoot that July 15th 16th around there, um, to kind of give people an idea of what
What it
our
could look
comedy
like.
looks like, yeah, like on camera, because I think that's a lot of the problem with the over the topness of some of the dialogue is like a lot of people just,
Kind of like miss the tone and like it's
yeah,
just
they
like,
miss
what
the
is this about?
tone. Yeah, it's like imagine like the Will Ferrell comedies and like it's or 30 Rock. 30 Rock was super over the top, but like
Totally.
yeah.
Totally.
It's kind of the
Yeah.
same thing. And it's like if people don't see it, they're like, people don't talk like this. It's like, yeah, but they can. And it's funny. It's just so here, we're just gonna show you how it'll be. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm working on
Yeah.
that. And then we wrote another short that I'm going to direct that's going to be set in where I'm from, Crystal, in Texas, Southeast Texas, at this beach, which is crazy. It's just like, I mean, I used to vacation there all the time. It's called Crystal Beach, and it's like people are driving. It's like this. They used to call the party area at the beach the zoo. Like when I
Okay.
was
Oh.
like it was. I remember it being crazy, like in college and like high
I'm
school.
picturing like Floribama Shore.
Yeah, it's like Jeeps and big four wheelers and like big flags that people have attached to everything. It's just this whole vibe that, yeah, unless you like go there and see it, it's like kind of an area you would never expect that exists, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's gonna be it's the setting of our comedy slasher, not like Other Girls, which is like twin mental patients give four out for revenge, give four bros a beach weekend they won't forget or survive.
I love it. You
Yeah,
guys are gonna go. Are you guys going into production on that? You're gonna be filming it.
yeah. I've been casting this week, and that's really been kind of my all-consuming thing happening right now. Is that getting the we're staying at these big beach cabins there, which they used to be
Oh, so
cabins.
you're gonna actually film it on location. You're
Yeah,
going there to film it.
right.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because it's you can't I can't recreate that here. I mean, I could recreate that here, but it would be a whole in LA, but it would be like a whole it would be 500,000. It would be so expensive. That'd be a
Yeah.
lot. It'd be so expensive because you'd have to rent the beach, and then when you rent the beach, you have to get the cars. They don't allow cars on the beach, so then you have to, you know, all these things. When you rent the beach, you have to get the security guards and all the other permits and all the blah 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 blah.
Totally.
So
Totally.
yeah, so we have like a big beach cabin there, casting. I have a good director of photography who's done a bunch of music videos, and then I have my writing partner, and I've been able to kind of, especially since I'm from there, I'm trying to pull, as many like favors as I can.
Yeah. Totally. What's the, like, in terms of just like the actors and such, is there, like, where is it in relation to anything? And is there a lot of talent in that region of the world?
Well, I'm going to bring people from here.
Oh, got it.
I mean, I'm sure, surely there is some. I'm not like not looking in Austin.
Yeah.
We're trying to like get crew from there. And then, I mean, I lived in Austin for a little bit, and some of the other actors in my classes were really good. And they ended up being in, one of them was in Richard Linklater's, like, oh, what was that baseball movie he did? I don't know. It was fun, but one of the people in my class was in that, and he's done some other things since then. And so I was like, there are people there. So I just they just are harder to find.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah.
Have you found, as you've been like going, taking things to market and taking meetings, have you been affected at all by the strike?
And the fact that it's really just like kind of like being like, well, let's circle back when the strike's over, blah blah blah. And that's another reason I'm just making my own things right now. That's easy. That's not really a problem. So,
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
So you've got this. So you sound very, very busy with these film projects. Sound really exciting.
Mhm.
And then, so you released some music earlier. Is there any more music coming?
Yeah, I do. I have my Murat, my producer, is also a TV composer. He's working on something called Dead Boy Detectives that's going to be on Max, not HBO Max.
Max.
No, 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 no. Yeah, no. They sold it to Netflix. Never mind. It's going to be on Netflix. It was going to be on HBO Max. Then it was going to be on Max. And now I think they sold it to Netflix. I think. I don't
Well,
know.
I just read half of the HBO shows are going to be on Netflix soon.
Oh yeah, with
So,
all the
so what, half a dozen, and what, six and one, half a dozen and the other.
yeah.
So he's. I'm sorry. Go for it.
Oh, so yeah, so he's been busy with that, and it's like kind of his first big show. So I haven't been really. We are like so close to finishing a new song, and it's like, but I know he needs to concentrate on that, and I don't want to like really distract him from that. So whenever he's done with those, however many episodes, we'll
Circle back.
Yeah, we'll start circle back. Like I'm talking like by the time when he's done it, we'll have like a few days, and I'll give it to the mixer, and then have it all. What's it called? Other word.
Mastered.
Yes.
Yay! This is fun. It's like playing categories.
I know. I really forget like really basic words sometimes. I'll be like that. You know that thing that you hold above your head that like shields you from the rain.
Umbrella.
Right.
So what's your writing process? Do you like write lyrics on your own? Does he like lay down a track and then you write to the track? What's your songwriting process?
We've done both. We've done it where I've picked the chord progression, and then we go and find like a nice kind of basic beat to basically would be like the chorus, and then I start from. I start when I write. I start from the chorus because it's like the idea of the song, you know.
Totally.
And then when I have kind of the general, like, what basically the title of the song, I go from there and build and kind of try and make it interesting. Like this one the new one's going to be called Parasite, and it's like kind of, you know, that crazy roommate I was telling you about. It's kind of like really comes from that experience. So it's like the idea of being, I guess it could be in a relationship, or I guess that is a relationship, living with someone. It's not a.
I mean, it's not a romantic relationship,
right.
But it's a relationship, yeah.
Right, yeah, and it's really about like kind of, you know, I think one of the lyrics is like things never really added up, but like everything did just enough, and so it's like it's kind of, yeah, it's really just based on that crazy room.
Is that like intentional? Like I noticed all of your songs have
they're kind of negative, I guess.
Title. But also they all have like a single word title, like all the old episodes of Law and Order SVU.
Oh yeah.
All that was was like, you know, murder, revenge.
Right, yeah. I guess it's like I don't know. They could have longer titles, but whenever I do it, I just end up coming up with shorter ones or single word ones even. Maybe I should try
Yeah.
that. Maybe I should try taking a longer phrase out of one to make it a title. You know.
No, I mean either one. I just noticed it as a trend. So is the goal just to continuously release singles, or do you have a vision of releasing a full
Oh,
EP or a full LP or
yeah. I want to do a few. Like I have at least four singles. We have completely planned with Marat. Like we had the fourth one's already in the works. Also, it's just not as far along as the third. But after that, I really want to try and maybe work with other producers or like I know a lot of the people that when they hear that I've done things might be more open to working with me. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And so
yeah,
it's like figuring out maybe like build an album with a few different that have are built from songs from different producers. So it's kind of
yeah,
like maybe can that the cohesion would come in like the way the music progresses. Like right now, I guess a lot of the music influences are more like Depeche Mode, like 80s. The newer song has the kind of the bridge feels more like something from like 90s R&B, like Brandy, Monica type of
hmm,
thing. Like it's Destiny's Child. It feels very much like I don't know, say my name, same like that kind of thing. I don't
right,
even like the cadence of the phrase makes it sound especially like that. So it's kind of like drawing from that's kind of what I say is like the 80s, 90s influence. Whereas like I had this like kind of idea a long, long time ago of wanting to like make an album that had influences like songs that were kind of meshing to like 50s and 60s or 50s and 80s or 50, you know what I mean?
right.
Like kind of
Kind of
like
like like kind of finding the link between two distinctive points in musical history.
yeah, and then like maybe building an album around that idea, you know?
So how does Guy Riot where does Guy Riot live in relation to Jarrod Bogan, actor and writer? Like is it like Clark Kent and Superman? Like
I
you
guess so.
change in a
Like
phone booth or
I guess like in my some of my like my photos for Guy Riot are more like I'm wearing a big fluffy fur coat. It's like, and while I might wear that not seriously, Guy Riot would wear it seriously. You know what I mean? I would wear it as like a joke.
So do you see Guy Riot as almost like an alter ego?
I think so. Yeah. The more the more I can perform as that, it's more. It feels like a little bit of like a drag kind of. You know how people say they're
Sort of
drag.
what's his name? Donald Glover.
Childish Gambino.
Childish Gambino, yeah.
A friend
Cool.
of mine did like was his producer. That's
Okay.
I would love to work with him, but he's like I'm sure he's impossible. I'm sure he's like he won an Oscar for like Black Panther, so I don't think he's gonna
Yeah,
work with me.
that's one of those like calling a favor.
I mean, I do know him, so but still, it's like
Yeah, well, you know what? And
yeah,
the fact of the matter is, you just ask. You know,
right. That's true.
funny
The worst they can say is no.
is no, and so why say no on his behalf? You know, because funnier things have happened, right? Like I've seen things like that happen all the time where someone asks a question, and again, you already have an established relationship with them. It's not like you're coming out of nowhere, and they'll like ask something, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I actually have a few days off. I can throw you 8 hours. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you never know. All right, so listen, I would love to keep on talking and talking and
Oh my
talking and
gosh,
talking and
it's been
talking,
that time.
but unfortunately, my real estate ends at the end of this hour.
Okay.
So before we go, let us know where can we find you online?
Well, I guess I'm Guy Riot everywhere. I'm Guy Riot on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter. I don't post on Twitter, but I will at some point. But yeah, the music's on Spotify, iTunes, most major streaming platforms at Guy Riot, at Guy.Riot on Instagram. And yeah, everything I do will be kind of maybe the short film. You'd have to probably look at my Instagram or YouTube to get more information on as that comes closer to
Like
releasing it and getting it
release.
out there.
Well, please keep us posted so we can let everybody know how all of that is progressing. Well, it's a pleasure getting acquainted with you today.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us. And thank all of you out there for tuning in right here on Hot 702.5 FM Las Vegas. And don't forget to check us out online at hot7025fm.com and download the Hot 702.5 FM app where you can listen to this show and all of the others on Risky Radio.